Hello, everybody. Today we are showing the results of the June Art Dare, and we are also announcing the August Art Dare. Welcome to Art Prof. This is our global art party. The June Art Dare was breakfast. We asked you to create an artwork in any media regarding breakfast. So the first artist we're going to talk about is Butter, who leads a community garden to unite the neighborhood. And right now, Butter says, I take a few moments sitting on my overturned bucket in the garden as the sun rises to have a quick, quote, bite of art, which I think is just the coolest interpretation of breakfast, because most of us think about breakfast as the food that we are eating every morning. And yet Butter's interpretation is breakfast as a means to recenter so she can be present for the community. What do you think of that idea, Jordan?
I love how serene it feels. It just feels like a moment in time. And like you said, the fact that I would have interpreted this as like draw the food or draw, some syrup or something like that, because I like pancakes. But in this scenario, it just feels like the environment around that, or the I don't know, the society around breakfast time. So I think that's really interesting.
I think for some people, breakfast really is a time to slow down. Well, unless you're like eating on the way to the subway. But sometimes I do really try to give myself a nice long breakfast, because it is a time for me to chill a little bit, get ready for the day. And I just think this interpretation by Butter is so different from what we would anticipate as a response to this art dare. Speaking of breakfast, what did you all have for breakfast this morning? What did you have, Jordan?
I just had a couple pieces of sourdough toast with some jam on it. It's very simple, very simple.
I just rolled out of bed literally 30 minutes ago, you guys. So I just grabbed coffee and a cereal bar. But the other thing that I like about Butter's pieces is the range, because this is a bug with a very muted color scheme. This one feels joyful, but then look at how busy this one is with the marks.
Yeah, no, I love the way that this looks. It feels energetic. It feels very vibrant. I like the complementary mixtures of the red with the green. It's looking really, really good.
So it looks like Sarah had a very luxurious breakfast. Toast with jam, cottage cheese, and tomatoes. Sounds way better than my breakfast. Okay, the next artist is Chen Lieu, who did 24 days of breakfast. I created this to share 24 days of my life and the breakfast that I ate that day. Isn't this incredible how gigantic this piece is?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the 25 days of Christmas, it's just 24 days of breakfast. I love that. It's such a great idea.
And there's a whole lot of images here, so I'm going to go through them fairly quickly. But Chen, I really feel like this is a diary that you've created with the structure of breakfast. And there's so many tiny stories hidden throughout the piece. I mean, I love this little cartoon at the bottom.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, it does feel like some sort of diary, or I guess time capsule could be another way to look at it, because I imagine if you look at this 5-10 years from now, you just be like, oh man, I did have this breakfast. I did have this. And there might be some things in there that you put for breakfast that you haven't eaten in a while. Like, it just could be really cool to see a few years from now.
Also, Chen, I love that there's so many people in this piece. June 11th, I met a lot of people at my son's school event today, and every single day fluctuates very dramatically. What do you think about all the text in here?
It feels like it just feels like a big collage. Like, I think of like people who rip up the magazines and just put them in here, except it's all associated with breakfast. And so I think it feels like a collage, feels like a comic. Like there's a lot of different elements there that I think are really fascinating.
Uma, who is a moderator in the Discord, and we hang out quite a bit in art club. This is a moment where Chen actually met Uma in person in Canada, which I just thought was the cutest thing. Now, if you guys keep some kind of diary or journal, tell us in the comments. I always want to, but I don't think I've done it since like the 6th grade. Did you ever keep a diary?
No. I'd have entries of like once every 8 years or something like that. That like when I'm angry or really happy, I'll write it down. But generally, I don't.
I did that a lot when I was in art school. I had a sketchbook and I would always write in it every single day, but I never really did it in the context of a particular focus. It was just like random thoughts, but this is random within the structure of the circles, the breakfast, and you guys can see that Chen just did so many different variations. I mean, I love these little fruits that are like fighting, and I just such a great shot, Chen. You did such an amazing job with this. Okay, actually, Divya just showed up. This is Divya's piece, and this is, for many in South India, the most favorite food. It is called dosa and sambar. And Divya says, I'll have this as breakfast 3 to 4 times a week. It's made from grinding rice and fermenting it overnight. The sambar is made with lentils, tamarind, and tempered spices. I've had dosa before. I'm sure it's not like really authentic dosa like you would get in South India, but it's nice and crispy. Have you had it, Jordan?
I've never heard of it, but I do have a friend who makes Indian food all the time and invites us over, so maybe she knows and I can have some.
Well, one of the things that I really loved about this art dare is we got to learn about all the different types of breakfasts that people have across the world, because I was so surprised when I went to Japan that their breakfast has like salmon in it. Like it felt like I was eating dinner because it's so different than what I'm accustomed to. 10K had cornbread. Ellie had coffee. I'm working on that right now. And 10K says, I have a 5-year journal, writing in it every day for 2.5 years now. It's a great way to get to know yourself and remember little details of your life. Tell us in the comments, is there a food from where you are that you just really love? Because I miss the Asian food. Jordan, living out here in Utah, do you have a favorite food from LA? Because you just left LA.
Yeah, I mean, all of it. I mean, there's so many vegan food options out there. There's Bang Bang broccoli that's delicious. We had some at the wedding. I don't know if you had it. It was really good.
I did. It was tasty.
Yeah, and then there's a bunch of burger places, there's pizza places, there's lots of burritos and quesadillas that are vegan stuff. So I miss all of it.
Nissa says, I keep a visual journal with all the stickers. Jot down the meaningful thing of the day. The effect has been to look over some months and prove to myself that the beautiful life I've made. Oh, that is so lovely, Nissa. Jen is having coffee, Ritz crackers, and Laughing Cow. Oh, I love that cheese. It's so tasty. Cute. Okay, well, let's look at Divya's piece.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking about the breakfast. No, I really like how this looks. It feels like it just got placed right in front of me. It's like, enjoy, So I just like with a couple of the others we've seen, it's like a moment in time. And I really like the way that you're coloring the dosa. I guess that's the part I'm looking at on the left side. It feels like it just got taken off the stove. It looks crispy. It feels like it's gonna be really filling. So yeah, all of that is looking great.
And Divya, great job on this choice of purple, because if I think about it, the purple is taking up the most real estate in the composition. And if you didn't have a color that could play off the yellows in here, the yellow ochre, I think it would quickly become very boring. This is a great color choice. And then one of my favorite things, I love the sauce. Actually, Divya, if you could tell us, what is that sauce? Because one thing I noticed is, first of all, the little bubbles on the edge. And also, it looks like there's spices or something floating inside. You can see the transparency of that through the sauce. I think that is really well done. Okay. Next artist is Jonalyn, and this is a piece that's about nostalgic breakfast memories. And there are so many parts to the story. And Jonalyn talks about, I'm going to mispronounce this, Kapeng Barako from my mom's hometown, Batangas, chocolate drink, pandesal, sweet and salty bread, instant pachit canton, cured meat, eggs. Oh my gosh, this is an incredible spread. And Jonalyn explains, I want to create a breakfast feast as if the viewer is part of this table. Growing up eating alone is a rare occurrence. It's always with friends and family, a communal experience. Cutlery is not needed unless you're eating a soupy dish. Most of the breakfast meal can be eaten just using hands. And grandmother says, using cutlery is bothersome. It's more efficient to eat with hands. Well, I would agree with that.
You know what this reminds me of is those scenes in movies where the character will come in, there's a giant spread on the table. Yeah. There's like 20 pancakes, there's waffles, there's eggs, there's fruit, and they just pull up a piece of toast. I'm like, I gotta go. I can't stay. I have to go to school. Like, okay, all right, buddy. You got your priorities straight. Sure.
Lisa P says, I want to sit at that table. Me too, because this is that moment before you've started eating and everything looks so pretty and nice. And then it just becomes this like disaster area afterwards. Yeah. And I just think it's so beautifully painted. I mean, these sausages and the highlights in there, the glow of the, I think it's coffee or chocolate. But what do you think about these textures?
I think that's my favorite part. It feels very tactile. It feels like each food is made of a different ingredient. You know, some things are bread, some are meat, some are liquids, and they all have their special attention and care given into each one. So I think that is really excellent.
Also, speaking of backgrounds, the green stripes that are going through the whole thing, great contrast, because a lot of the colors in here, there's this repeated maroon color, and then there's a lot of yellow ochres in here. So largely the colors that are in the breakfast items are warm colors. And then to have this cool green and these beautiful shadows that overlap, I think are just beautiful. Renata says, I miss the, quote, French bread toasted with butter, the usual breakfast staple in Brazil. Curiously, it is called Portuguese bread in the US. I know, it's really funny when you go to a place like Rome and it's like New York pizza. It's really funny to me how that comes across. Well, speaking of Renata, Renata did this painting. Says, I normally don't do still life, was curious to know if I could do it. Created a background reusing a page of my sketchbook. Sketchbook page already had blobs of ink and acrylic washes. I just added some elements that resemble leaves and trying to keep it very loose. The picnic scene was created using acrylic gouache.
Oh, I love how this feels. I love how you're doing like the lemons and the fruit. The textures and how loose they are, it feels more vibrant. Like I'm excited to eat the food that's here.
So much activity in this piece, and I love that you have so many objects. I think oftentimes with still life, people get intimidated the more objects there are in the scene. But I love how we have this setting down here at the bottom. The lemons in the middle lead us upwards into the bread, and the background is just as lively. So we push across to here, back into this orange area, but also the tablecloth is really important because it becomes a resting place for the eye. And it's also brighter, so that way, well, in value, it's not as intense in color as, say, these lemons, which are like super bright yellow. And then what do you think of this little bit of text?
I think it's great. It feels like something that could reasonably be on the table. Like there's no detail that feels empty or like it's not finished. Like you brought the tablecloth. I love how even though it's just a tablecloth, there were certain things done to make it feel more interesting. There was pinks and purples put in there, different ways that the cloth is moving. The text on what could be a menu or a napkin or something like that. It all feels like I'm actually sitting there and I'm excited to eat the spread in front of me.
I really like the activity in the brushwork. I think it's extremely lively, but the other thing you're doing, Renata, is you do have parts that feel chunky and structured. For example, I'm looking at this spot here. It's all of these individual strokes put on top of each other, but then I like how the lemons look nice and solid. There's a really good balance that you have going on in there. And then also nice separation between the coolness of the blues and then the warmth of these colors at the top. We have some comments. I want to go to Divya's comment because we're getting a nice, oh, my slide's out of order. There it is. Divya says it is a sandbar, which is more liquidy, maybe like a stew, the thing floating in the vegetable. I use different vegetables every time. Oh, that sounds so yummy. Uma says the dosa sauce, thank you. Sandbar, lentil-based vegetable spice curry or stew, cooked with pigeon pea and tamarind broth. South Indian cuisine. Oh my God, I would love to go to India. It sounds like the most extraordinary place. And we also have Brian who says, I'm eating a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Favorite cereal, Jordan?
There's a Trader Joe's like granola cereal that I love. We drove an hour and change to Trader Joe's the other day just to go get that cereal and a couple of other things. We filled up the cart, but I was like, I gotta get this cereal. I haven't had it in months, so yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at Cathio Arts a Lot. And Cathio Arts a Lot says, if the weather's nice, love to take my breakfast outside, soak up some sun and color. Coffee and a croissant outdoors is a little luxury that makes me feel like I'm on a vacation someplace. And Cathio Arts a Lot says, this was quite a challenge. I'm new to oil painting. The whole process was so different from watercolor, painting shadows with opaque medium instead of transparent layers. I can't believe this is, I think, your first or maybe one of your first oil paintings.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I was just going through my paintings from school and I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder I have such a hard time like getting back into it because it was so rough. But this is beautiful. I especially love the details you put in the cup and in the plate. Like I'm looking at that and not only did you get the colors to work, but it's curving along with the cup itself. Like the color is shifting due to the light and shadow difference. It is really incredible work for within your first 5 attempts at oil painting.
You can really feel the morning light. I know exactly what time of day it is. A lot of it is the contrast of the white plate against this very crisp shadow. This shadow also as well. But you know something, one of my favorite parts of this piece is this napkin, because most of the still life is pretty muted in terms of color, like the sunglasses, the wood table, and stuff like that. And that napkin has such an amazing glow to it. Also, texture. You guys are so good at texture today.
Yeah, the texture is looking phenomenal. Like I could see all the little flakes on the croissant. Like I feel like if I bite into it, half of it's just gonna crumble onto the plate because that's just what croissants do. But yeah, phenomenal work there. Phenomenal.
Also, the mild reflection in the glasses. Like, look at this. You can see the green cloth
Why did you even see that?
reflected. I know.
Wow.
it's such a lovely little detail. And we also have some great comments from people here about still life, because we have Jen, who says, I did a piece with lemons recently. I think mine were overworked. They use fewer brushstrokes here to better the effect. So this is in reaction to the painting by Renata. 10K says, love it. Feels so warm and alive. Brian says, like the eggs and the wine. Jen says, when I first started painting, I painted lemons every day for like 100 days. So I would not have to think about what to paint. Well, certainly that is a way to give yourself some focus, especially when you're really trying to pick up a particular skill. 10K says, I feel like I could pick up that croissant. And Uma says to Renata, love the distinct whites of the napkin and table versus the whole table sheet. Okay, next artist is Manette, who says, I thought it'd be fun to do a close-up on waffles, really get the texture. That didn't quite work out, was ready to give up, but got some encouragement in art club to embrace the strangeness. So that's what I did. And Manette says, I tried to play up more of the shadows and highlights with different colors. This is done in watercolor and colored pencil. This is an unusual waffle.
This is really cool. You know, this reminds me, during St. Patrick's Day, one of the taco places around here had green red velvet cake.
What?
Yeah, that's what this reminds me of. Just like, I just think of a green waffle is like, okay, they're celebrating like the Grinch. It's got Grinch themed or St. Patrick's theme or something. But what I really like about this is that it actually feels more surreal than just a waffle. Like, I'm starting to think of it almost like a maze, like a hedge maze or something like that. It's starting to feel a little bit like that to me.
Manette, I feel like this looks very architectural. The way that you've created the edges of the waffle. I like this tiny one at the bottom. It looks like Princess and the Pea, and it's like going to get squashed by the weight of all the other waffles. And then looking up close, how unusual the colors are. Like Missa says, I love the colors in these waffles. Jen says, tried waffles once. It was really hard. Yeah, it's difficult when you have these repeated segments that you have to stay true to. But what an unusual composition. This is not what most people expect when it comes to a waffle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think the composition is probably the strongest element here because it makes such a statement. And then when you add the beautiful colors on top of it and the fact that it's like, oh, it's a waffle, like all those things kind of play into the composition, which was really strong from the start.
And Manette, good for you for leaning into the weirdness, because I think there is something really fun about taking a recognizable object and manipulating it to the point that we may not see that right away. Great interpretation. This is by Dana B. This is called Pancakes for Two, water mixable oils over acrylic underpainting. And Dana says, I doubt that there's a restaurant that serves family-style pancakes, but if there was, I would go. Pancakes with bananas and walnuts are my favorite breakfast. I mean, that is quite a tower of pancakes. I love how decadent it looks.
Yeah, pancakes are my favorite breakfast. They always have been. So I appreciate the representation in this.
You made pancakes. It was yummy.
Yes. I've been working on a new recipe. So next time you come, it'll be even better.
Oh, well, I'm so excited to see this piece because Dana and I have been working together in art club. And I remember the initial piece was very different. When I saw it earlier, there was no bush or plants up here. And actually the tablecloth went all the way down to the bottom. And so this black structure of the table wasn't there initially. And one of the reasons we added that was, first of all, the tablecloth looked really heavy. And so adding the space underneath opened up that space around it. The black is a visual shape that wasn't there before. And it's just been so much fun for me to see all the dramatic changes, because it's hard to make that change, to go in and say like, oh, I'm going to just cut off that tablecloth. I'm going to add this whole new element, because Dana was pretty far along at this point. And sometimes it's more and more difficult to do that. Oh, Manette is here. Awesome. I'm so glad we got to talk about your waffles. Nissa says, this looks like a Dolly's breakfast. And Jen says, I love the little blue bird. Why do you think that adds so much to the story?
I think I mean, just like with a lot of others that we've seen, there's a focus on the environment. In this particular case, the breakfast for two, like I imagine it's a certain type of restaurant with a certain theme, a certain, country or place. And so all those things placed together add character. I think that's what the bird primarily is for. It's like it's adding character and a very specific, very specific time of day, place, all those things into the story.
Lisa points out, love the background with the stained glass windows. Exactly. I mean, the people are not that big, actually. So much of this is about the atmosphere of the restaurant. Okay, this is by Ebba. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Who explains the art dare was good motivation to try experimenting with oil pastels. I wanted to capture a cafe setting with a delicious smoothie bowl, although it ended up a bit hard to recognize the granola, banana, peanut butter. I don't know. I can tell those banana slices.
Yeah, I could see that too.
You're into smoothies. You should tell everybody about your smoothie history.
Oh yeah. So I've always liked smoothies, but right around February 2020, I got hired at Jamba Juice during grad school. And so I worked at Jamba Juice, and then a month later, COVID happened. And so we went from the busiest location to the most deserted. But I remember a lot of the smoothie recipes, so I get to use them for myself. It's great.
Which was your favorite?
I like the peanut butter banana protein one, but there's also the greens and ginger from Jamba. That's delicious. Yeah.
I just love the texture here in the smoothie bowl, because Ebba, you really took advantage of that grit and graininess that the oil pastel has. Sometimes when people have too much of the grain, it makes the piece look unfinished. But Ebba, it's moments like this where we lose the grain and we really feel the depth of that smoothie bowl. And then just so much energy in these strokes. And again, drawing everything, the pattern, the flowers, you really get a beautiful sense of the setting.
Yeah, I think actually the parts of the grain, I think my mind kind of fills them in naturally. So I think you put just enough for me to be able to read, okay, this is the banana, this is the granola, this is this. And I think it's really beautifully done. And I especially really like the edge, or the handle of the spoon rather, how that it's kind of like reflecting the table around it, and how it's, completely different color and shape and everything. I really love how that is done.
Also, I don't know what this is. I think it's berry sauce, but it looks really yummy.
It's probably acai sauce or acai mix. Yeah.
Okay, next artist is Liz. As a kid, breakfast was always sugary: waffles, cereals, and Pop-Tarts. Parents didn't think twice about it, neither did I. Breakfast used to be easy, now it feels loaded. Frosting looks sweet, but it's laced with something heavier. It's comfort, craving, and conditioning wrapped in sweetness. This exaggerates that internal conflict into something both playful and grotesque. Well, do you see that balance?
Yeah, I think actually the thick black outline over the sugar and the frosting makes it feel overwhelming and heavy. It actually, I don't know if they still do this, but I think of the James Bond movies, how like in the intro, he like shoots the camera and then suddenly the blood kind of comes down. That's kind of what I think of. And so, yeah, it feels overwhelming. It feels like, it's coming crashing down. But the bright colors are definitely matching what I would think of with sugary breakfast, like donuts and cakes and all that stuff.
It's a little hard to see, but there is glitter down here at the bottom. And one of the things that I just enjoy so much is the graphic nature of the super bold outline, the strong shapes. But then if I come back here, I mean, the sprinkles are shaded. Isn't that amazing, that little detail?
Yeah. No, you put a ton of work into this, Liz. The fly,
And then
crazy too.
the fact that the coffee cup, you can see the little stain. I feel like, Liz, what you did was you emphasized, I guess, the ugliness of the scene. And the thing about the pink is that it's a very pretty pink color and it's oozing and dripping. But then the addition of the fly, it's such a moment of disgust within all of the sugariness of the scene. And then the text as well also grounds what's happening. It's a really unusual piece, Liz, because it's fun and pretty, but it also makes you feel a little bit repelled by the scene, which is exactly what we talked about. Okay, next artist is Marie, and says it was an enjoyable challenge to try to show the different textures, make it look appetizing. And the first one wanted to show a welcoming atmosphere, so I included the flowers that were on the table. And then I thought I'd focus more on the food, so I did a close-up of the pancakes. Well, we got more pancakes here.
Man, I'm gonna have to make a second breakfast in a minute.
I know.
Yeah, this looks like a plate of pancakes that I would want to partake in. Like, this looks like the family of 5 is coming down, and mom and dad whip something up, and they're just like ready to go. It looks great.
Little details like the pattern on the plate. I mean, I know exactly that pancake texture when it's like bubbling up on the frying pan. And then, oh my gosh, this is probably some yogurt or something tasty, but isn't this amazing how many colors are in this one sauce, which we know to be white? And then the individual banana slices, the texture is just so outstanding. I mean, imagine the observation it takes to do this.
Yeah, no, you did so much with this. I mean, I even down to the crispy edges of the pancake, especially that one in the middle.
Yeah.
Like that one, I'm like, dang, that I feel a crunch just looking at it. So yeah, great stuff.
And here's another one that Marie did. Beautiful berries. I mean, those are like glistening. And then all the layering, the rigidity of the knife. Look at these, just all these sauces and jars. It's so pretty.
Yeah, no, it looks great. And I think a lot of my favorite parts about it is how you're, again, getting that 3-dimensionality with the cups, showing the shine of different elements there. The fruit, it looks like it's in actual like liquid. It feels very shiny and wet. It's really great stuff.
Missa says even the colors of the shadows are interesting. Brian says, I don't see any Mickey Mouse pancakes. That was always a favorite. Oh, yeah, we used to make those all the time, but sometimes they would just turn into a big blob.
Oh, yeah. Be careful. You get sued for that nowadays.
No. Well, here's a nice comment about Liz's piece from J. Marie, who says, mosquito, drawing from the frosting as if it is its life blood. That's a wonderful interpretation. Thanks so much for sharing that. Okay, and then the last artist is Lisa P., who I believe is here live in the chat, who says, I found breakfast ideas hard to limit, so I just kept going until I ran out of time. And we have several paintings from Lisa. What do you think about this? Just keeping going until...
I think it looks like each of these looks so delicious. The way that the chocolate was melting, that orange looks so vibrant and bright. I see the steam from the coffee coming up, which is a great little detail. Yeah, I think you're nailing it on all these. Oh, that smoothie looks good. That looks like an ad. Looks like an ad for a smoothie. I would go there. I would totally go to a smoothie place with that.
I just love this one, which is painting surrounded by breakfast items. it's such a fun composition. And that's the main thing I see, Lisa, is you played so much with different types of colors, because this one is a pretty muted color scheme, but beautiful blues interacting with the warmth of the yellows and the browns. This orange is so luminous. I love the turquoise that's in here. Oh my God, that egg looks amazing. It's like a heavenly egg. It's just like glistening, and the textures are just so beautifully done. Yeah, like Jen says, Lisa's colors are so clear. I mean, I'm so in love with this smoothie piece. And this was another one Lisa and I worked on in art club. And initially, she didn't have these pink horizontal lines, but it's such a nice element because the smoothie looks so gigantic. And I think this would have been too empty, but it's so minimal, but it definitely holds that space.
I'll also add to that. It feels like a 50s diner or a 60s diner.
It does, yeah.
It feels very retro, which I like that a lot.
We got some prizes to give out. The honorable mention goes to Ebba, and the prize winner is Marie. Congratulations to everybody for your work during the month. We have a new art dare for all of you, which is to create an artwork in any media that has water as a subject. I've been thinking about this a lot because I did the seascape on last week's live stream. This is Lanikai Beach in Hawaii, and it looked like a travel brochure. I mean, it was like the most beautiful water with color. I mean, I sort of made it look a little ugly, but in the photo, it was really, really beautiful. But I think what's interesting about water is oftentimes it can be extremely stylized.
Yeah, I think each culture and each artist have their own way of interpreting water, and I think one of the reasons is because one, it's very challenging to get water to be convincing, but two, there's so many. Like you can have it be still, you can have it be boiling, you can have waves, you can have tsunami. Like there's so many varieties of it that I think you can get away with just about anything.
Tell us in the comments, have you done a painting, a drawing, whatever, with water? And do you find water difficult to draw or paint? This is actually Rembrandt's only known seascape. And it's so upsetting because it was stolen during the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum art heist in 1990. And it's a different side of Rembrandt because Rembrandt does so many portraits and biblical scenes. And I don't know, the water almost looks fluffy.
It does kind of look fluffy, yeah.
Right?
It definitely feels like it's misty at certain points, but yeah, that's a beautiful paint. I know that story very well. It's a great painting.
I love this work by this artist, Truman Lowe. This is called Water's Edge. And the idea that he would represent water with a material like this, which is not the typical color we associate, I just think is so brilliant. I feel like the colors in here, it's like the last thing you would think to use to portray water.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really clever. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought to do it not being blue. That's interesting.
Speaking of pools, Mrs. says, I was at the pool yesterday and this woman had beautiful red hair until she got out of the pool and didn't have the blue backdrop. It's really funny. Well, David Hockney is famous for his pool paintings. And Anna says a lot of work has water in it. Manette finds it ridiculously hard. And Renata says, I love paintings with stormy waves. I think films are a great place to think about water.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many movies, animated and live action. I mean, we have Pirates of the Caribbean here, and obviously there's tons of water there. Yeah, that's a beautiful shot. Beautiful, beautiful shot.
Renata says, I love paintings with stormy waves. Jen says, I just did a lady walking into water this week. Drawing wave, foam, and paint is one of my favorite skills. And Generic Name says, ocean, river, puddle, or stream is often the subject when I paint plein air. Yeah, where those of you guys have good weather, plein air is fantastic. I love painting lakes and things like that. This one I think is so unusual. This is a Buddhist painting from Korea, and I just copy pasted the story behind this. So this is a figure on a rocky outcrop protruding from the sea in his mountain island where water flows from numerous springs, and the landscape is populated by fragrant grass and flowers. Now, somebody might look at this and say, well, there's no water here. But the thing is, the water is part of the story. And doesn't the drapery look like water?
It does. It feels very delicate and very flowy. Yeah.
Anna is asking, does it have to be only water in the work? Nope. You just have to have water somewhere. It could be a single drop in your painting, and that would be fine. Or Jordan, what's this?
It is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Katara, the waterbender, is known for having a lot of water around her. But the other thing I like too is their culture in the show just revolves all around water. So even the shapes you could see in her outfit and his outfit as well, they all have to do with water. So I think that you can find a way to incorporate that into a ship or into clothing or something like that.
And tell us in the comments, is there a body of water that maybe you feel personally connected to? Because for me, it's Walden Pond in Massachusetts. We used to go there all the time with my kids. Thoreau hung out there. It's just a really beautiful little pond. But I think the point here is that water's not just a visual. Oftentimes it is deeply embedded in the narrative. This is a contemporary artist, Alexis Rockman. I always think about his paintings as an apocalyptic scene that's pretty, but also a little bit scary looking. Like this looks like bacteria, these weird floating creatures, and he uses these super bright saturated colors. But I always feel like this is where everything goes to die. It's just really dramatic the way he uses that. And then some very stylized paintings or prints by Hakusai. And I find this water really aggressive looking.
Yeah, it looks like a water that I don't want to be around because I feel like I'm going to die.
Or be stabbed.
But it looks pretty. It looks pretty. I just don't want to die. That's all.
Yeah, this water looks like coral, the way it's been depicted. And any style is possible here. Don't feel any pressure. It has to be realistic water, because I think some of the most powerful interpretations are ones where it is not realistic. Brian says, a few years back, I'd take my camera and photograph the Potomac River by me. There's a video game called Walden. You wander around as Thoreau. I don't know if Thoreau would approve of that. Jen says, I visited Lake Onessa at Camp Gaia. I love Strawberry Hot Springs at Steamboat, Colorado. And Anna says, my parents have a house on the Chesapeake Bay that I grew up on. I'm there now, actually. It's my happy place. Guess what? We have some pictures of Eric Bana.
Wait, didn't he play the Hulk at one point?
He did.
Okay, that's where I recognize him from. Okay.
You see, I have a Marvel connection in here just for you, Jordan.
You do. I somehow think that was accidental, though.
I mean, the Hulk was CG in that movie, but he totally has the body for it.
Yeah.
Do you guys see the splashing in the water? He's my new crush. You probably didn't know about that.
I didn't. This is new to me. I was still thinking about Benedict and Pedro Pascal.
Well, okay. I really do have a point here. Okay. So I watched this movie last night. Okay. Well, for the second time. So this movie is called The Dry, and it's in this remote part of Australia. And part of the movie story is that it hasn't rained for something like 300 years. So it's this incredibly dry thing. And there's always that danger of something catching fire. I mean, in Utah, they oftentimes do those controlled fires because I don't know the science behind it, but they do that a lot, controlled fires. And so this is the opposite of water. It's part of the story. I love this tight gray shirt he wears. They're like half the movie. It's like really good stuff. I don't know what this has to do with water, but it's
really I'm starting to wonder too now. I'm like, what is
it's a nice shot for Black Hawk Down. Maybe he has like a water bottle nearby. Anyway,
I was like, is he sweating? I don't understand what's going on.
Yes, I think I need to watch Hulk again. Although I think he's so much hotter. Once he hit like 50, he became like extra hot. I didn't actually think he was that great in Hulk. Not acting, but like hotness wise, I didn't think he was. Okay, the Art Dare Leap is to draw 4 different types of water because we know there are ponds and oceans, and this is going to be a challenge for you guys to think about how water can be in different forms in different places. Yes, I know what Eric has to do with water. And yes, maybe we do need a figure drawing string, maybe on the pectoralis major, because it's a really big. Now remember, you can submit your Art Dare here in the Art Dares channel, which is in our Discord. Just go to the pinned message for instructions. And we love sharing your Art Dares on Instagram. Tag us in your stories. If you are not on social media or in our Discord, you can go to Art Dares, which is in the menu bar of our website. And you scroll down, you will see we do have a Google form that you can use to submit. Join us after the stream. Jordan and I are going to be in the discussions channel. We can chat live more about water and all kinds of other things. Art Club is our best program for learning. This is where we spend the most of our time, myself and also the TAs. We're in here. You can chat with us several times a week on voice. And it's a really nice group of people. I know that Manette was feeling very stuck when she was working on that waffle piece, and we worked together in there in Art Club to get you unstuck. That's a really great thing, because I think a lot of people get to a point, inevitably, you don't really know what to do. And instead of banging your head against the wall, we will plop answers into your lap. You don't have to lift a finger. So we would love for you to hang out with us in Art Club. Buddy would like for you to subscribe and join our global art party. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.